We are by no means in a recession, although GDP growth came in at a very sluggish 0.8% year on year in the first quarter of this year. So it's low, but it's not negative as yet.
While Canada isn't officially in a recession, a new poll shows a majority of Canadians think we are. The new data from Leger shows Canadians are broadly cynical about the state of the economy and the rising cost of living.
No matter what the official GDP numbers say, most people are hurting. Their income simply isn't going as far as it did.
Vivek Deheja explains that the rule of thumb for defining a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. But he notes that as high inflation eats away at household incomes, it's understandable people might think we're already in one. The Leger numbers also show 81% of Canadians polled think inflation is going to keep rising, a markedly different forecast than offered by some politicians.
Well, maybe the politicians and the officials just don't want to quite fess up how bad the situation is. I mean, I think most independent observers, economists who are not connected with the government or the central bank, people like myself, academics, are seeing this as a medium to long run problem.
There's also the looming fear of stagflation, a situation like the 1970s where inflation stays high but the economy doesn't grow. All this during a period of unprecedented support for organized labor, who have mandates from workers to demand higher wages as contracts expire. Canadian customs agents are currently in negotiations, as are BC's General Employees Union, while Ontario's secondary school teachers will also see contracts expire at the end of August.
The governments are broke right now, so they're in debt like they were at the end of World War II.
David Gray is a professor of labor economics. He says many governments simply don't have the money to pay higher wages, and that could limit the possibility of a wage price spiral.
I don't think that we're going to get into the wage price spiral that I myself lived through in the 1970s, for example.
However, Deheja says regardless of how the labor market looks, he expects the Bank of Canada to continue to raise rates to curb inflation, saying he'd be surprised if Wednesday's increase is anything less than 75 basis points. In Ottawa, Xiaoli Li, City News.